Hi everyone, this is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Friday, March 19th of the year 2021, and this is going to be a stitch with me for you today. So as always, I want to welcome you all. Welcome back to all my returning viewers and subscribers. Thank you, as always, for your continuing support. And I do want to say thank you to all of you that left me comments with well wishes and congratulations on reaching the 2,000 subscriber milestone. Well, it just wouldn't be possible without you guys, so thank you for continuing to check in on me week after week. And if this is your first time visiting, then welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Today I am doing a stitch with me, but while school is in session, I do alternate videos between Stitch With Me's and FlossTube updates. So I hope you consider coming back next week for the regular FlossTube update, and subscribe and continue to follow me on my stitching journey. So today's project, as you can see, I already have it set up here. Today's project is going to be one of my Heaven and Earth design charts. This is The Eternal Promise by Matt Stewart, and I started this back on my birthday. I'm doing this for my twin sister, so I would like to work on this regularly. It is quite a big piece. As you can see, the stitch count is 525 by 843. I can read. So it is rather large, so I would like to work on this regularly so I can get it to her within a decent time frame before we both die. And yeah, I used to have this be a focus piece. However, again, school got back in session, and it ended up being sometimes the only piece that I would be able to work on was this piece. And I do have other plans with my other pieces, and this is just like tangled up in the chain. There we go. I do have plans with my other pieces. I do want to finish my oldest whip at the moment, which is my Hogwarts castle whip. So once I kind of realized that the only stitchy time that I would have was pretty much dedicated to this focus piece, I decided to go ahead and switch it out. So I'm now focusing more on Hogwarts castle. And I'm trying to deal with a knot here. I don't know if you can see the thread kind of pulling all over the place. Yeah, it got all tangled up, and now I have a knot. So I'll just go ahead and cut that piece anyways. But yes, so just because I'm not focusing on this doesn't mean I'm not gonna stitch on it at all. I'm just not going to stitch on it as regularly. And I feel like that was the right call. I feel like I'm now happy with where I'm at. Let me see if I can try to remember where I left off, which I think I do, because that's the downside of not working on something for a while, is you forget, right? But I think I got it. This still remains my focus piece for magical stitches though. So again, that's also why I don't want to necessarily just stop working on it, because it is still considered a focus piece for one of my challenge groups. Again, it just won't get worked on as often until I finish Hogwarts. So school has been I'm super sorry, earthquake. School has been really interesting. It's certainly kind of changed things around for me. I'm really grateful for it, to be honest. This is not me complaining at all. Having lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic and being pretty much not idle per se, but I just didn't have anything to pursue, anything to work on besides, of course, this channel. Going back to school was really the right call. Kind of gave me a sense of purpose that I had pretty much lost. Again, this channel being the exception. And I just kind of, it was just day in, day out, and not really doing much of anything. So given the fact that that school has taken up so much of my time, it kind of went from 0 to 100. Like, I shouldn't say 0 to 100, it's more like a complete 180, right? So I went from not having anything else to do except to stitch to barely having any time to stitch now. But it's been amazing, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. My best friend and my boyfriend are both engineers, so they're very happy. They've been very supportive with this new venture, and it's just been amazing. It's been even though it's only the second semester, I can already feel that there's a change. I used to take pride in saying that I was a social science major, not a physical science major, because the first degree I got was in psychology. I got a BA in psychology. And so whenever it came to anything related to math or science, I would just kind of wave it off, and that was the joke. That was that was kind of like how that was the attitude I had towards it. I'm a social science major, not a physical science major. Don't come at me with all your fancy math and your fancy science. And yet here I am, diving into coding, diving into math. Right now I'm taking a chemistry course that is, well, that chemistry course is really interesting because I feel like I am missing out on a lot, since we don't have access to the lab yet, right? Even though things are slowly opening up, we don't have access to a lab yet. So all those experiments that we would normally run in a chemistry course, we're not necessarily doing. The professor is giving us the data points. So it's like, if we had run the experiments, here's the data that we would have gotten. And then we just do the calculations, right? So we do some math so that we can still understand the theory behind it, but we don't actually run the experiment ourselves. And I'm kind of, again, I never thought I would say this, but I'm kind of bummed out about it. I kind of wish that we could have that opportunity to get our hands on the equipment and just see it for ourselves, you know. But we do what we can, I guess. And the theory is still there, you know, so I still understand what we were supposed to have learned by doing the experiment, but still, hands-on would have been nice. Having said that, it's a lot. It's a lot. She's having us, which I guess it makes sense though, because I'm assuming it would be the equivalent of doing like a lab a week, because most of our labs are due either Sunday night or Monday nights. Which again, like, I'm assuming had we been on campus and been physically at the laboratory, then it would have just been, you know, business as usual. You come into lab, and you just run the experiment, because that's what you do in a lab class. It just feels different this time around. But it's no one's fault, really. And the other courses are great. My coding class is always very fascinating. the thing about that one is, like, even though I only had one previous class, I feel like I'm already ahead of everybody else. I'm learning a different program. Last semester I went through Java, so we learned how to code using Java. And this semester we're doing C++, and which, from what I understand, is a lot more commonly used than Java, which is why I decided to go ahead and take the course. And even though they're both introductory courses, even though this time, like this semester, we're technically starting from scratch, as if you have no knowledge of coding whatsoever, because I did come from last semester having some knowledge, even though it's, you know, a different program, there's a lot of similarities. So I feel like I'm ahead of the game. And it's interesting, because last semester I was the one that was asking everybody else for help, and this semester the tables have turned. And I'm the one that's helping out people, having answers on the spot. Like, they're asking, how would you code this, or how would you do this? I immediately know. And that's just, and again, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when I have even more experience. So it's been amazing, but I'm still very much looking forward to spring break. It's not going to be this week, so it's not the last week of March, but it's the first week of April. So I'm excited, because as amazing as it's been, and as great as it has been, it's a lot. And I feel like a week break would be very nice. Because it's non-stop, you know, with a full load of classes. If you're not studying for one test, you're doing homework for another, and if you're not doing homework for another, you're, you know, doing a project for another class. There's just always something due, and sometimes all I can do is go just take it day by day, kind of do, okay, what's due next, and work on that. So, but it is what it is. It's been good, and we do have a Discord server. Discord's like a communication platform. It's messaging. You can share screens. You can do audio calls. You can pretty much do whatever. And so we've created these servers for each of our classes. So that's how we communicate. That's how we help each other out. And I even, like, I reminded my professor about it our last class we had yesterday, because a lot of people had, and this is back to the coding class. A lot of people had questions. A lot of people had errors, I should say. Like, we had done some coding in class, but even though he's showing us step by step, obviously sometimes people, they misspell things, or they just do something wrong. You know, there's just something wrong. They didn't quite follow the directions, and there were a lot of people that had errors in their code. So God bless the professor. He's usually very, very good about it. He's like, okay, share your screen, let's go, we can look at it together, let's figure out what you did wrong together. But I feel like yesterday was a little bit too much for him. It turned out that he hadn't, because I did follow up with some questions of my own. I just decided that because people were taking up so much time during class, I decided to just hold off on my questions for his office hours. And it turned out that he has been a little bit sleep deprived, and so he has been sleep deprived for like a week. So he apologized. He was like, I'm sorry, that was just a week's worth of sleep deprivation just catching up to me, and and that was it, you know. And we could tell, like, we were kind of chatting off to the side on the Discord server while lecture was going on. So we were all kind of messing each other, like, is it just me, or is he just not having a good day today? So I kind of let him know that we understood. And because he's usually so good-natured, we just wrote it off as him having an off day. But I did remind him that the Discord was also an option. Like, it's not coming from, you know, someone with authority like him, or the we do have a student teacher as well that helps us out, but she's not as available as he is, because again, she is a student. But I just let him know that the Discord server was also a possibility for people to get help from their classmates, and some people did take me up on it. Like, oops, sorry, earthquake. Some people did join, and we were able to help them out without necessarily taking up class time. But for the most part, it's fine. For the most part, people do keep up with him. It was just, I don't know, for whatever reason, today was just an off day for everybody. And the rest of my classes are what's the word? Asynchronous? Is that how you say it? We don't meet at a specific time. So the professors just kind of, I mean, the only times we do meet are for exams. And for chemistry, we haven't, she actually doesn't, because chemistry is the one that uses Proctorio, which is that app for Google Chrome, where you can share your screen and you record yourself taking the test. So she doesn't even need us to log in on Zoom for our exams, but the math teacher did, or does, I should say. And we had our first exam this week, which was panic mode for everybody. And I thought I did really well. Like, I came out of it pretty confident. I was like, yeah, that was easy. But then, of course, like, my boyfriend, he got curious, and he's like, do you have your papers with you? Because I didn't really, like, you can print out the test, or you can just write out the questions and show your work on your paper. So either way, like, I just showed him the papers. And for some questions, he was like, oh, you were so close. You just, you know, you had a misstep over here, like in the last bit. So I would do everything correctly and then just mess up on the last one. And I'd just be like, no. So here's hoping that she does partial credit. The consensus was that a lot of people blacked out completely. Like, well, not blacked out, but blanked out, I should say. Like, they just blanked out on how to do some of the things. So I'm hoping that she's, I mean, she does give partial credit. I know she gives partial credit. So at this point, I'm just gonna bank on it. Because other than that, like, I don't know why it was such a big deal for me. Because I am doing, like, the quizzes that we do in the program, not necessarily with her. Like, I've gotten straight 100% on those. So I'm just like, why is it that I can do so well on those, but then suddenly, as soon as you put me in front of the professor, it suddenly becomes like an entirely different ordeal. And that was my refrigerator for whatever reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this thread. But yeah, it's been an experience. Just learning new things, helping each other out. Although I do have, like, I have a limit too. Like, I don't mind helping people, but I also make sure to, like, if people ask for help, like when we were reviewing for the exam for coding, for example. Well, it wasn't an exam, it was just a quiz. But we were reviewing all the material, we were reviewing all the intricacies of what we learned. And this one guy asks for help, and so the first thing I say is like, okay, well, did you look at the book? And he goes, oh, I should open that. I should look at that. So I can't, like, I don't mind helping people, but they need to help themselves first. Like, I shouldn't be the first. I shouldn't be the first resource. I feel like they should have at least tried it for themselves first and then come to me like, oh, I really don't understand it. I read the book, I went through the PowerPoints and the lectures, and I still don't understand it. That's fine. I can help you out when you know, if that's the case. But if you're just skipping the lecture notes, if you're skipping the book itself and then coming to me first, like, I don't think that's fair. But that's just me. And I do have to do chemistry homework today. Let's do, I think, on Sunday. Again, the lab report that I mentioned. She assigns weekly. It just never ends. But like I said, I am proud of myself for doing this. Because again, I never thought I would willingly take up this venture. So, and it's really taught me a lot about myself, a lot about what I can deal with, a lot about what I can't deal with. And just my tolerance level in general as well, just with other people and our different experiences, I guess. The server kind of helps out with keeping in touch with everybody, and then, you know, we all kind of see where everybody's coming from. The majority of us are local, so that helps a lot too. One guy even said, because we had St. Patrick's Day this week, so we were all chatting during St. Patrick's Day, and then it was evening. This was like at 7 o'clock at night, and he goes, well, if anybody needs me, I'll be at this bar, which is downtown. And because I don't know how it is in other places, but California has started to open up businesses. Restaurants are now allowed to have, I think it's limited capacity, but they're still allowed to have people dine indoors now. But of course he gets there, because, again, and we just opened this week. We just opened on Monday. I think Monday was the first day. And he got there and he says, damn, there's a line to get in. And I'm like, well, duh, of course there's gonna be a line to get in. It's the first week of being open, and it's St. Patrick's Day. Like, you picked the worst worst possible day to want to go to a bar. I don't even know if he made it in the end. But yeah, it's interesting. And I feel like a lot of them are younger than I am too. So I guess I've been getting some crash course lessons on the new lingo. Oh my gosh. That was not a good feeling. Because apparently when you say I'll take the L, like the letter L is like loss. So I'll take the loss, like I'll take the hit, right? And we were discussing, so for our math test, our professor was really hardcore. Not hardcore, but she was very, no nonsense. She wasn't gonna allow any nonsense. she sent out this list of instructions for the exam, and they were pretty straightforward. They weren't anything too fancy. It was just like, make sure you're on time, you know, make sure that you have your camera on at all times, otherwise you get a 0, and no cell phones or any other electronic devices allowed. But of course, that begged the questions, do calculators count? Are we allowed to use calculators? And one of the things she said in those instructions was, if you ask me about anything that is detailed in these instructions, I'm gonna take off a point on the exam. Like, she really was like, please don't ask any stupid questions. Please don't waste my time. So again, so we're all kind of like, well, she said no electronic devices. That kind of, it may include calculators. So we were all kind of doubtful, but we also didn't want to take, you know, we didn't want to lose any points. Like, we haven't even started the exam and we're already losing points? No way. And so at one point, this guy just was like, all right, I'll take the L. I'll get back to you guys later. And so I'm like, take the L? What? And I won't. And that's when another one of my classmates was like, it means loss. And I joked about it. I was like, oh, okay. Wow, I hadn't heard that one before. I feel old. Because yeah, I figured most of these people are like going through college for the first time as opposed to the second time. But yeah, the same thing happened when I first went to school, like back in August, like when I started school back in August here, and I went to the orientation, and of course, like in typical, you know, kind of let's get to know each other fashion, the counselor that was leading the orientation, because it was small groups. I guess they just kind of break up people into smaller groups so you don't have 50 people in one room, but or Zoom room, I should say. So he kind of went, okay, let's go around and we can introduce ourselves and say which high school you graduated from. And for whatever reason, even though he didn't tell us to say the age, a lot of the people started saying what age they were. So you got a lot of kids going like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm 17 years old, and I just graduated from blah, blah, blah high school. And they were just so peppy and so happy and so like excited to be there. And I was just like, oh. And at that point, I was just like, I didn't even say my age because I didn't want that. I couldn't deal. I couldn't face telling them that I was like 10 years older than these people. So I was just like, yeah, my name is Alma. This is actually the second time, my second round of college. And of course, at that point, like even without saying my age, that got a few eyebrow raises because I don't look that much older than they do. So, oh, sorry, earthquake. So yeah, so having the whole like, oh, I've never heard this lingo before experience was similar to that. It's just like, oh, it hurts. But it's all in good fun. And we don't, like, I guess that's when I realized that we hadn't really asked each other about our ages, like this semester, this time around. Like the guy saying that he was gonna go to a bar, he actually, like, he invited us. He was like, if you guys need me, if you guys want, you can join me. I'll buy you guys a drink. And this one guy's like, what if we're under 21 though? And I was like, oh, that's right. These peeps may be like 18, 19. Because for me, it was like, yeah, sure, maybe. Not really though, because vaccine first. But that's beside the point. For me, it wasn't like, I didn't even consider that until somebody else brought it up. And I, well, what if we're not 21 yet? So it's just, again, just part of life, I guess. Okay, now we're gonna go down. I missed working on this. And I was very strategic about working on this too. Since I was using it for my focus piece, I set it up so that for the daily 30, so that it's a closed Facebook group where one of the tasks that you can do is work on something for, and actually I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this line. It's fine. One of the tasks that you can do is, as the name implies, kind of work on something for 30 minutes every day. Well, not every day, but 5 days, at least 5 days a week. And so what I would do is, for those daily 30 minutes, I would be sure to leave like blocks of color. So right now I'm just kind of filling in. A lot of this is going to be this same color that I'm using. So I set it up so that I didn't have to worry too much about color changes. And then once I was done with those daily 30 minutes, I would go ahead and work on the confetti. But then once I decided that I wasn't going to use it for daily 30, I just started working on whatever. So right now, like, I did work on some of the confetti that I had left over from this area, but now we're down to the block, kind of filling in some of the space. But I have missed working on this. There's just a lot that I want to do and not enough time. I'm gonna go ahead and go down. Most of the time, well, prior to school, most of the time I could kind of gauge what I could work on and what I could get done. But now it's all out the window. So I had to adjust accordingly. And hopefully though, so while I was doing the 200 daily stitches, I did the math and I calculated it to be just under 6 years to finish this. Obviously that's probably not going to happen at this point, but we'll see. You know, once I get back into the group of well, once I finish Hogwarts and I bring this back as my focus piece, then I can go ahead and kind of recalculate an estimate of how long it'll take. But again, sometimes the daily 30 is the only kind of stitching I get to do, so I have to keep that in mind as well. Because suddenly all these challenge groups, and I haven't been able to participate as much as I wanted. But such is life. And I've been exhausted too. I don't know why, but this year daylight savings time just hit me hard. Usually I can just take it in stride, but this time it really messed with me. Even now, like, I feel like I still, and I don't know, maybe at this point it's just tired because of all the things that I'm doing, but yeah, the first couple of days were brutal. I did not want to get up, and I remember, and Tuesday was when I had, so Tuesday I had a chemistry quiz, I had a coding quiz, and I had a math exam in the afternoon. And Tuesday was the hardest day, like, in terms of sleep. So that day was just, it wasn't fun. Like, I remember having just kind of like crashing on the couch after the exam was over. It's just like, okay, everything's done now, right? I can just sleep for forever. But of course I couldn't, because I had homework to do. Again, it never ends. they did announce that Disneyland is opening up, which made me happy. I'm happy that, well, I'm sad that I won't be able to go, but I'm happy that, you know, that's going to, like, a lot of people are going to be able to go back to work now. And that makes me happy. But yeah, April 30th is when the park is opening up. Last week they announced that they gave April 1st as like the date, but that was kind of like the earliest, right? So that was the state of California saying theme parks can open as soon as April 1st. And I guess, you know, they just need time to take care of business, make sure they have everything in order. And they announced on Wednesday that Disney California Adventure and Disneyland Park were gonna open on April 30th, which is unbelievable. And I'm not even going to, like, even if I was financially stable enough to go, vaccine first. Again, just like how my classmate wanted us all to go out for a drink. I was like, no thanks. We're still not quite, I mean, we're just on the red tier right now. It's fine. Let's see. Forgive me while I mark off my pattern keeper, lifesaver, okay. I mean, mostly it's block colors, but I am coming up on a section where I do have to cut my stitches. Right now I'm just filling in the spaces, so it's great. But yeah, my Hogwarts piece is coming along great. I just surpassed 90,000 stitches done, which means I have 32,000 stitches more to go, thereabouts. It's 122,000 something stitches. Most of the time I run down to 122, but I feel like I should say 123 really, because I feel like it's 600 something. I feel like it's 1,000 or 122,600 something. So either way, I feel like I should round up instead of down. So let's say I have 33. But I'm very excited. I'm not quite at the 75% mark, but I'm getting there. I think I'm like at 74 or 73.9 or something. So that one's getting some great traction. For that one, I'm trying to do at least 1,800 stitches every week, because that is what I need to do in order to finish it before the end of July, which is my goal. And so far so good. The Full Coverage Fanatics monthly event this time around has really helped, because for those you're stitching about 1,900. Well, for the higher ones, it's like 1,900 something stitches per whip. So that helps a lot. I've used Hogwarts for 3 of those so far. The first time was like 1964. The second one was like 1903. There were 2. So 2 of them have been 1903 so far. Which again, both of those are just over the 1,800 mark. And this time I'm actually going to I'm going to go beyond the 1903 and do 2,000 for a challenge in magical stitches. So I just really want that done. and it's so much black and just dark colors that I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love the image, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on to something else. I still have just under like 20,000 stitches left to do in black alone. Some of the other colors are getting down. Like yesterday I found out that I only had a couple hundred stitches to do on like the 37.99, which is a really dark gray, and I think like 600 left to do on 9.39. So I'm still whittling down those other colors, but that black is just, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I sometimes not necessarily regret my decisions, but I'm just like, okay. I'm done with the black. And of course I have like other whips that have black backgrounds. I've got Fractal Energy that has this entire, do I have the, yes, I have the picture here. This is Fractal Energy from Tales and Crafts. And I mean, you can see, you see that entire centerpiece is just black. And I'm also doing a Corpse Bride piece from Tales and Crafts as well, and that has like, it's black, it's like a black border, and then there's, I wasn't planning on talking about this. Do I have it somewhere here? I don't have it readily available, I don't think. I'm trying to look at I have my project bags next to me, but it's like a black border, and then there's an inside border that's like blue vines, and then there's the picture. There's like the picture that you're is the focus of the piece. So yeah, so that, oops, sorry. So that also has a lot of black. So I'm not I'm not done. I don't know how many black stitches there are on Fractal Energy, but it's, yeah. I don't know why I do this to myself. But still, progress is progress, and I'll just, especially for Fractal Energy, because it's just a ton of the solid color, it works when I'm trying to watch TV or something, so that I don't need to focus on it. But I think that's where we're going to leave it at, since I am coming up on the end of my thread. Yeah, I did miss doing this. I kind of felt bad that I wasn't able to do it last time, but it was just school. There was just a lot going on with school, and I couldn't find the time. Couldn't really, because I also need to, so one thing, I guess, I don't know if I mention it often enough. I feel like I do, but I also have to keep in mind my boyfriend's schedule. Oh, and this is, so I think somebody asked me on Instagram how I do my Q-snaps. I put a piece of cotton fabric. It's just, I don't know, random cotton fabric that I got from Joann's. I just put that with the Q-snap so that they're not immediately on top of the stitches. Anyways, it's not just about my schedule, it's also about my boyfriend's schedule, because it's a small apartment-ish. Where the sound carries. He doesn't know how to speak softly. So if he's on a conference call, you can hear him pretty much throughout the entire apartment. And I don't want that for my videos. It's not fun for me to speak over him, and I'm sure it's not going to be fun for you guys to try to tune him out and focus on what I'm saying. So yeah, so sometimes if videos are late, if I post later, if I'm not able to record as early as I normally do, it's because he has conference calls, or he's, you know, taking care of other business. Right now he's asleep, which is great because it gives me all the time that I want. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, I guess. And that's why the video was missing last time. It's just because not only was I swamped with schoolwork, but I also couldn't find the time to have like nice and quiet, so I can speak freely without noise disturbances. Because that's the other thing, is gardeners, and they were, oh, that's the other thing, is they were testing the fire alarm. That's what happened as well. They were testing the fire alarms, and it was just not a good time. But okay, I'm gonna leave you at this. So this is what we got done so far, which is great. I do want to thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my ramble about school and how I'm doing. I mean, I guess that's just my life. Sometimes I feel bad that I talk so much about school, but it is the most important thing that's happening to me right now. And these videos are an opportunity to kind of go into a little bit more detail about that. So I lost my needle right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys. Thank you for joining me, and if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and put the link to the Heaven and Earth Design site, so that if you guys want this pattern, you can get it for yourselves. It's still available as far as I know. And I'll also leave up my Instagram link, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page, if you guys feel so inclined. Any and all help is most welcome. And yeah, I will see you guys next week for the regular FlossTube update. So until then, as always, I hope you guys have a relaxing weekend, a productive week, and you always find the time to do the thing that makes you happy. Until next time, bye.